get into this, okay?
Cool.
Okay, here we go.
You got a nice little setup here.
Great study on soccer. And I am here with Derek the Huffman, and I am so fired up to have this opportunity to talk with Derek Huffman. He and I have met a couple of times before. Welcome, Derek, to this show.
Greg, thanks for having me, man.
So one of the things that I want to do with you, Derek, is I want to start with where things got started. Okay, so I know you grew up in Elgin, Illinois, or at least were born in Elgin, Illinois. And what's really interesting to me is that's old school territory for where my dad grew up in Zion, which was just north of Chicago. And so you're just east of Chicago. So I've traveled over that area, and I know the area.
West of Chicago.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just saying, yeah, west of Chicago.
Yeah, so you're west of Chicago.
Yes.
And so how was it growing up in that area of Chicago, man?
Well, so it was like burbs. Soccer wasn't really a big sport at all growing up. My parents just put me in a lot of stuff. Like I was playing baseball, basketball, football, soccer until one stuck, And I even did growing up. I remember I even like wanted to stop playing soccer to do BMX racing on the bikes, pedal bikes.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like inches. I was inches away from being a BMX rider.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I like to talk to people about is as an athlete growing up, as a kid growing up as an athlete. I mean, that's where you're going. What draws you to the game of soccer when BMX or football or baseball or any of these other sports? I mean, what took you to soccer?
So what actually took me to soccer was I had these little neighbors that were like down the block from me. It was like the kids I ran with in the neighborhood, and their dad was a college soccer coach. So they were always playing soccer all the time, like in the yard. So me and the boys would meet up, and so we just kept playing soccer. We'd play other sports too, but it always just finished with soccer usually.
So
did
you have an actual soccer field, or were you just like kicking it in the grass?
It was just on like the side of the yard. They had like a nice long yard on the side. It was perfect for like a soccer field.
Did any of those other kids ever take into athletics, or were you just playing for
they all played
soccer neighborhood?
Yeah, they all played soccer pretty much for a while to like college level, and then they kind of just stopped playing.
Well, let's talk about where it took you. So this is Sandlot stuff. You're a young kid growing up. Where did you go with high school? I mean, because I'm looking at some of the stuff here, and I'm seeing Huff the Stuff is throwing the stuff in as early as high school and college. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was started in high school. Well, I started playing soccer I started taking soccer serious around like 12, 13 years old because I played other sports, like I said. I was playing like basketball till about that time, baseball. So I was like playing 3 or 4 sports at a time. So I was never like serious about soccer. It was more like I played with a buddy's mom was the coach. It was rec soccer, and then it was like 12, 13 area. Yeah. I started taking soccer serious. I played for Chicago Sockers for a little bit. They're a big youth club in the area. And then Schwaben. And then from Schwaben, there was a group of us, like 5 or 6 of us, that actually walked on to Illinois Chicago after that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, when I'm looking at Derek, I'm looking at I'm going to read this from a little notation I have here. Competed 3 seasons at UIC and scored 10 goals overall. Appeared in 43 matches at UIC and took 33 shots. Scored first collegiate goal in 2008 against Valesperio. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Played 3 years at UIC.
Okay.
Transferred to SIUE for 1 season.
So talk about a little bit about your college career, man. I mean, that's really exciting stuff because, I mean, well, a lot of people, make it or break it at that point in their life, right? I mean, they either have it or they don't. So one of the things, Derek, that I kind of talk about a lot is that when you're in high school and you go to college, all of the college players that you're playing against, every single one of them, were the absolute stars on the college on the high school field, and the same thing goes on to the next level. You know, all of the people in the professional level were the college absolute stars. You know, moving forward.
Yeah.
So the level of play moved, in a huge level. So when you were playing in college, how did that work out for you? I mean, I know you're still in the same general area. Did you play against
Yeah.
any of the players that you knew as a kid?
So when I went to UIC, I was actually in like the kind of like the golden generation of the program. Um, we went to during my time we went to 2 Sweet 16s, Elite Eight. And when I joined, there was only like say a good portion of the team was like European. We had a lot of good Europeans on the team.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was a
Right.
really good vibe. Yeah, it was a really good vibe. We did really well. It was under Coach John Trask, who went on to coach at Michigan. John Trask was actually the one that recruited me, or not Michigan, Wisconsin. He actually went on to coach UW Badgers after UIC.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, and then like you said,
Right.
when you get to that level, you either make it or break it. And yeah, once I was there and we did
Right.
well our first season, and I was getting minutes like my second season, I kind of knew then and there. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, or at least like I saw that was the first time like I saw like in my own head like, okay, this is something I can do in the future because I was
When
playing around
when
good guys.
Derek, when did you make the introduction into indoor soccer? Did you play indoor soccer as a kid? During the winter months up north or anything like that?
Yeah, in Chicago, there was a really big there's a really big indoor scene in Chicago. There's this place that used to be called the Odeum. It was really
Right.
popular. I think one of the Chicago indoor teams back in the day used to play there.
Right.
What was the name of the Chicago team back in the day? Because I never like good buddy of
So
mine,
the
Gordy.
Chicago Sting,
Gordy said he
the
used to go to
Chicago
games back in
Sting,
the day.
right? The Chicago Sting was as far as I know, that was the first real indoor professional team playing in Chicago. I don't know where they played.
Yeah, because I never followed it when I was a kid. I didn't know anything about indoor soccer. But I mean, I obviously played it because in the winter months in Chicago, it's snowy, so we all move indoors. Everybody plays indoor. But
Absolutely.
yeah, Chicago, lot of big amateur stuff going on in Chicago. Like a lot of games. You see a lot of guys all the time coming in.
Are there any players that you interacted with during that time that you're still playing that you still know or are playing with today?
For my college days, no, I think everyone's kind of done now. Yeah, I think I'm kind of the
Right.
last one.
You're the last guy.
However, I did play against Tony Walls. I played against Tony Walls in college.
Absolutely. There you go. There you go. Tony Walls is still happening, right?
There he is.
All right. So now you move through your college experience, and let me ask you, because I don't have a lot in front of me, but let me ask you, what are some of the accolades you pulled out when you were in college? I mean, I do know that you were a recognized player during your college career.
Yeah, I was never like one of the top guys. I would say I wasn't really winning a lot of awards. Like, I mean, there was like one season I was in the running for top goal scorer. I finished second. But yeah, other than that, I didn't win like a lot of like player awards. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like I was just a player on the team. I wasn't really like just one of the top guys, star names. But I
What
was doing well.
what
I did
made
well.
you what made you take the direction towards looking at the indoor game of that we're playing today?
Gordy Gerson actually got me involved with indoor. Cedar Rapids, first team that ever.
You got to talk about that. Okay, let's talk about that.
And that was a really good experience. Cedar Rapids, it was just such a ragtag, like you said, Sandlot group. It was so fun. First coach at Everton. Everton was playing.
Yeah.
He was playing back then. He was good. He showed me a lot. Jonathan Greenfield was our coach at one time. It was a fun experience, definitely.
So I mean, that team didn't last a long time. I think the legal aspect of that was that it ended up going that franchise ended up going to Orlando.
Yeah.
But yeah, but as far as the Cedar Rapids Rampage, I mean, you guys sort of hit the ground running, man. I mean, that was a team that people paid attention to right away.
Oh yeah, we were good. We had a lot of good players on that team.
I know.
Your guys, yeah. And it's actually sad because there was like two parts of the ownership. Like one side of the ownership was really, really good. They were awesome. They were a family that ran the club. Awesome. And then there was like an other side that was like really, really, really bad. You know what I mean? And like you said, with the legal aspect, like just doing bad stuff, burning bridges, and kind of had to just book it out of there. That's originally why we went from Cedar Rapids to Orlando. I think it was because, a lot of bridges were burned and you had to hightail it out of there.
Yeah. And then I think the same thing, right. Once the team went down to Orlando. So hold on 1 second, Derek, because I've got a comment here that says that they're getting an echo when I'm talking. So let me address that. If people here, let me put it up there. So if people are getting an echo while I'm talking, obviously as a Facebook user, you're watching this show on MASL Off the Wall. Go ahead and go over to Study on Soccer Facebook or Study on Soccer on YouTube, and you might get a better feed. I really don't know how that works. I've never had that complaint before. So let's just see for you as a user. I don't know who you are that's calling it out. So although I do listen, I do hear feedback on my own recording. So go to Study on Soccer on YouTube or Study on Soccer on Facebook and see if that makes it any better. Sorry about that situation. So back to you, Derek. So yeah, so you guys are in the Rampage, and this is a brand new team. It's a brand new team in the MASL. A lot of you guys are coming together as young guys, putting together a team. And it is it's pretty solid what you guys did. I mean, you guys are really showing yourselves against some established teams in the league.
Yeah, we trained in our arena every day. We had a nice little good size arena that we just trained in every day, and we knew every little nook and cranny there was on that field. So it like that we turned that place into a fortress. Like we would win a lot of games there.
Interesting.
They didn't play us there. So that's how. So
in Everton,
at home, you get a lot of wins when you're good at home because you play half your games at home. So if you can just be good at home, you're gonna win a good portion. Then you can maybe mix up some road wins. You're looking like a playoff team.
Yeah. Well, and those were some pretty interesting years too, because as far as everybody's trying and seems with with yourself and like you said with Gordy and Everton at the helm. I mean, there's a lot of absolute skill going on that really had an impact, and it was a fun time for watching the league go forward.
Yeah, we had some good battles too. We had a nice little rivalry with Wave and KC going on when we were over there too.
Indeed. So right now, you go from there to Orlando, right? You played in Orlando for a while.
Played in Orlando for like season and a half, I believe.
Right. So what was that like? Because I mean, looking in retrospect, Derek, there's a lot of questions about the ownership and all of that kind of thing that went down over there. But and of course, there's a lot of conversation about the fan base and all that kind of thing. But what was it like as a player? Because that perspective is something I don't think people know.
We knew. I mean, we knew right away. We like you could tell right away when things are kind of looking shady or stuff's going bad. You know what I mean? Like we knew eventually it was going to be the end of that. Just the way things were going. Like we'd show up to a place and then the bill wasn't paid, so we couldn't train there that day. We had to go to like an outdoor place, or just small things like that where you start seeing and you start saying, "Hey, like this is not what the good organizations do." You know what I mean? It was just
Right.
getting stuff like that. And then
Did
you'd hear guys complaining about
did
not getting
did
paid, stuff like
did,
that.
did the did the players at the end of the day? I mean, at the end of the day, did you guys all get your pay?
I mean, I would definitely say there was for sure a few guys that probably didn't. I would say all like the main guys
Interesting.
probably did. They probably got all theirs at the end of the day, but then I'm sure there was guys that got screwed for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's a
And
that's a
you
difficult
see that
story.
happening, and it's not happening to you, so you're kind of just keep showing up, and then you know what I mean. It just gets ugly quick.
Right. Right. What did it look like when the team disbanded? How did that work out? Was it a dispersal draft? Was it
Well, it happened like
free agent draft?
it happened like I want to say we went to Baltimore and we lost 14-4, and I remember eating dinner. I was with Peter Schlewa, and then we were with the owner, and we were eating dinner at like a Chili's, and we were just like, man, this is not a good look. Like, what's going to happen from here? And he's like, no matter what, we're going to finish the season. This is what this guy telling us this. He's like, no matter what, he's like, don't worry, we're going to finish the season. You guys are good. Telling us this at dinner. And we're just like, okay,
That's
sure,
it.
whatever. We had no reason. I mean, he was taking care of us as far as he didn't do anything wrong to us at that point. But when we got back, we started hearing things like he wasn't showing up to training like he normally was. Like he was usually at training every day, coaching us.
Right.
Wasn't at training for like 2 or 3 days, and then one day we just got a call from like a player that was living in the same housing as him, saying, "Yeah, I just pulled up and I saw Chris and packing up all the stuff, and he just took off." It was literally like that. We're just like, "What? Like, what's going on here? Like, this is crazy."
Wow.
Like straight out of a movie. We're just all sitting. We're calling each other. We're like, "What's going on here? Like, is this real?" We thought it was a joke, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did it how
Packed
did
up all
the
the stuff and booked it.
how did the dispersal go? I mean, were you guys all free agents and just got picked up?
Yeah. Well, at first they didn't want to do that. At first it was, I think the league. Well, they finished the season.
Right.
They ended up finishing the season. I think there's other
Right.
teams in the league to help them finish the season. But they basically came to us and said, "Hey, this is what happened. Um, you guys are more than welcome to try to find a different team. You're free agents, guys that want to stay, guys that live in the area want to stay. We're gonna see out the season because of the schedule, and then you guys can make a
Right.
decision that after the season the team will be done." So a lot of the guys, worked out new situations for themselves.
I remember that Phil Salvaggio from the Sockers was one of those guys that put money down to help the Orlando team, finish the season out.
Yeah, it was a few teams, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a few. There were a few teams that put the money down there and made it work out. Um,
Yeah. I
what
mean,
was it?
for them, it was almost kind of like they're forced into stuff like that. When they have a bad owner do that to them, they're kind of forcing this because I mean, how's it going to look if a team does like all the games are canceled? What are you going to do? Cancel the rest of the games for other teams? Like that would mess up a lot.
Exactly. No, exactly. And from an owner standpoint, it looks bad on the league's face. It looks bad when one owner bails if the team folds halfway. And in the history of indoor soccer, in the history of American indoor soccer, there have been a number of teams, and the San Diego Sockers and the New York Cosmos were two of those teams that folded halfway through the season. And that never looks good for a league, as far as the professionalism of the league, when you've got teams, especially marquee brands, that are folding halfway through a season. So it was pretty cool. I thought it was really cool when the ownership around the league, stepped up to bring the Orlando team to make it through the season. And my only question is, did you guys actually get paid? I mean, it's one thing to keep a team going, but did the players get paid?
Yeah, I mean they got taken up. It was definitely like on it was definitely the guys that want to stay. It was kind of like a take it or leave it deal. You know what I mean? But they got taken care of. I remember that. But the other guys, I would say half the team probably booked it back closer to where they're from, home.
So let's talk a little bit
about
also, your personal story. What happened to you when?
Can you hear me?
So on your personal story, Derek, what happened with you personally when everything fell apart down in Orlando?
So when they told us we were all free agents, they let the rest of the teams know. So there was teams calling. I had a few teams call, but in my mind, I wanted to be at Milwaukee because it was like an hour from my house in Chicago. So that's kind of right. In the back of my head, that was kind of always like what I wanted to do, and it worked out.
So there you are. So there you are. And Milwaukee has embraced you, and you have embraced that team. The Milwaukee Wave, come on. I mean, this is one of the iconic brands of American indoor soccer. They've been around forever. And the relationship that you have on the field, it's obvious. I mean, as a fan watching the games, it's absolutely obvious that you guys have so much chemistry going forward and playing forward. You and Ian and the rest of the guys. I mean, there's so much strength in that team, and you are making some humongous contributions, buddy. I mean, you're really throwing it down there on the field. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say last year was probably statistically my best season in my career. So, originally coming to Milwaukee, I played against them a bunch of times, especially being like a rival at Rampage. There was a few times where the fans weren't really digging me.
Right.
So going there, I had to kind of tuck my tail between my legs and say, hey, I'm here to be on the team. I hope things go well. Hope you guys like me because I'm coming. So. Yeah, but it actually worked out great. Yeah, they were very welcoming. It was awesome. Everyone kind of just forgave.
Talk a little bit about. I mean, I don't want to put you on. I don't want to put you on a spot here. Really, I don't. But talk a little bit about the coaching staff and what's going on with the coaching staff and the organization in Milwaukee that plays to your skill set and how things are going out with the team going forward into this season.
Yeah, I mean, our staff, you look at them, it's the who's who, you know what I mean? Like guys with so much experience, guys you can learn from. I think it's very helpful that all our staff played. We're in the league, especially coming from the Wave, Tenzin, Jules, Marcio, those guys have been here forever. They know, they know the model, they know the Wave way, great teachers, and it's awesome to just learn things from them.
Does it make a difference?
I played against guys like Tenzin, Marcio when I was just started. When I just started in the league, and those were like the big names. Those were like the guys.
Right.
You know what
I mean?
Right. So, yeah. Now just getting little, tidbits and that, and just seeing it from their perspective, hearing it come out of their mouth, and things just click. You just see it where you weren't really looking at it from that perspective.
You just click something in my head. Talk to me about some of your teammates over your career. What teammates that we might know have really made an impact in teaching you and giving you some heads up as to the style of game that you play?
I would say, I mean, dude, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys I can look to and been like, yeah, I learned that from him, learned that from him, learned that from him. I'd say, Everton being my first coach, and at that time he was a player coach. He really he opened up my eyes to like the target position as far as like holding the ball. Because when I first came in the league, I didn't know how to like step on the ball and hold the ball because it was new to me. I was an
Right,
outdoor player.
right,
It's a
right.
very difficult, like being a target. Like that's your main job. Is that you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So if you can just get really good at that, that's like the
Yep.
position. You know what I'm saying? As far as getting the ball, holding it, stepping on it, being able to hold a guy off, using like the leverage from the ball. Just like a lot of stuff I learned from him, watching him, and him just teaching me. When I was playing at Cedar Rapids, we didn't really, after Everton and Greenfield, we didn't really have systems we would play. Like we would play like systems with Everton and Greenfield, but they weren't there long enough to like really implement or get it to, like a system. Like at the Wave, you come to the Wave and it's like we play a certain style. We have certain things that we
Gotcha.
do. You know what I mean? And like my first season at the Wave, I didn't understand any of it. Like I knew what to
Gotcha.
do, and I was obviously going through the motions and stuff, but I didn't really know why this meant that and why that meant this. You know what I mean? Like you do certain things to get certain outcomes. So
Right.
after being here like a few years now, this is my fourth season. Yeah, I just totally understand it now. And you totally like once you see the vision, you can't like unsee it.
Right. And that's true with any coaching style, right? I mean,
Yeah,
any coach has his program that he wants to put forward, and the players need to buy into that program. And it's funny because sometimes you'll see an absolute superstar come into the team. They'll be drafted into the team or they'll be brought into the team, and they'll be gone in a year or two because they did not mesh with the program that the coach was putting forward. And you see that happen a lot. And it has nothing to do with whether or not that player was a good player or not. Obviously, these guys are, a lot of them are absolute superstars, but they didn't mesh with either the team program or the chemistry that the coach is putting forward. In your case with Giuliano, I mean, it looks like it's really worked out well.
yeah. Like I mean, I think that's what determines like a good coach or not, because you could have three coaches telling you the same exact thing, but if you can't understand what they're saying or they can't unlock like a pathway for you to understand it or grasp it,
Right.
then you know what I mean. You're not going to get far. Like a lot of people, a lot of the good coaches that I've had in my life, I think I've learned something from. I can look back and be like, wow, that guy taught me this, And where sometimes you have coaches where you don't learn anything. You know what I mean? You're just
Right.
showing up for a
Ab-
job every day.
ab- Absolutely. I mean, I kind of hate to say it, and of course, I have some names under my belt, but I'm not going to mention any of them. But there are a bunch of coaches out there that I don't mean necessarily today, but over the years that I've watched, and it's like, what the heck are you doing? I mean,
Yeah.
you're bringing in your yeah. What the heck are you doing? I mean, this is not a program that anybody can buy into. And of course, I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know what they're actually doing. All I
Yeah.
see is the result on the field. And the result on the field oftentimes looks kind of haphazard. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's kind of like I would almost say there's probably more bad coaches out there than good coaches for sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? It happens all the time.
All right. So let me talk to you. Okay. So I would be, I would catch a whole lot of flack if I don't put Derek the Huffman on some questions about your relationship with the fans of the Major Arena Soccer League and your passion with the game on the field. Let's talk a little bit about what some of these guys want to know about who you are and what's really going on.
Hit me with it. I told you, don't be scared. Ask me anything.
There it
I don't
is.
know.
So what's your relationship? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so this is funny. So I don't know who this is. I won't know until later, but I'd say Derek has a great relationship with fans. Okay. So that's from that. Okay. There are some fans that wouldn't necessarily agree with that. And I'm only saying that, Derek, because well, I'm not telling you, oh, it's Kelsey. Okay. That's Kelsey. You know Kelsey. You know her.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, you know her. But there are fans from other teams that might think that you're sort of over the top, man. I mean, let's talk about your passion for the game and your interaction with the fans. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you show up to a game and you're rooting for the other team, it's kind of fun when there's banter going on both sides. You know what I mean? Like for me, when people say, "Oh, he's out of control" or stuff like this, like they're just very confused. Like I'm in control of all of it. Like, you know what I mean? There's never a time where I'm not in control. I'm in control of the whole thing. You going back and forth with me is me in control. You know what I mean? I didn't go to your job and have a back and forth with you. That's how I look at it.
That's so cool.
So whether you like me or don't like me, I think it's good. Both sides of the coin are good.
Right. Well, I mean, come on. I mean, as a fan of the game, I mean, most people are a little biased towards the players that play for the team that they promote, that they are a fan of, right?
Of course.
So
I feel like they should. I feel like they should be.
Of course, right? So anybody that's a Milwaukee Wave fan loves the heck out of Derek Huffman. Are you kidding me? They love you. Some fans of other teams, maybe not so much, but not more necessarily than they don't love, I don't know, Craig Childs or Nick Pereira. I mean, those guys, if you're not a fan of that team, you're not going to be a fan of that guy. But Derek, I gotta say,
there's that but. You said, but Derek.
You're a little bit more, but brother, you're a little bit more interactive with the fan base than most of the other players, and I think it really adds a color to the sport and to the team and to you as a man, as a player.
Well, I mean, look, like I was saying earlier, like I'll interact with all the fans, whether it's good or bad, because at the end of the day, I feel like it's always going to trend good. Because either way, one way or another, if you're not a fan of me now, I think eventually as you get to know me, you will become a fan of me. So that's why I have no problem interacting with all fans.
Right.
It's good to have that dialogue.
Okay, absolutely, it's great to have that dialogue. Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you?
I feel like most fans, like even fans of the NBA, they would like to have a back and forth, even if they didn't like a player in the NBA. They would like to have a back and forth with someone from the other team, at least. You know, and if I can be someone that they can reach out to, then that's cool, I guess.
It is cool. And one of the things about this sport, not specifically the sport, but the league itself, and you included, is that the game, the sport has a tradition of having a better interaction between the players and the fans than most professional sport leagues in North America. I mean, you can't engage, the superstars of other sports like you can, Derek Huffman or Ian Bennett or Craig Childs or Nick Pereira or any of these guys. The way that the fans can interact with you, even with social media, it's a lot closer than it used to be, but it's closer even than that with you guys being able to engage and talk back and forth. I'm laughing because I'm only laughing because some of the back and forth conversation is pretty fun.
Oh yeah, totally. And yeah, I mean, it's a much more intimate fan, player connection than probably any other sport in the country. The fans come on the field after every game. All the
I
home
would
teams
agree.
do that. All the fans come on the field. You meet the players. And that's awesome for us too. When I first started, I was like, when I first started in the league, I was like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, And then I quickly realized, I'm like, this is awesome meeting the fans. These people coming to support you and cheer you on, and then you get to meet them after. It's awesome.
Right.
A bunch of people just
awesome.
cheering you on all day.
I remember last season. I remember last season, MASL off the wall fan of the year, and during one of the games in San Diego, the Milwaukee Wave was in San Diego, and he had his banner up there, and you rolled over to him, and you were all hugging on him, and he had a banner. I don't remember what it said, but it was like, it didn't matter what it said. See, that's what's fun. It doesn't even matter what it said. Derek Huffman.
Oh, you know what
he's on the banner, and you're going to roll over there, and you're going to be part of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it was somebody got my jersey at Goodwill. It was something that'll make you chuckle for sure.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. He said Kelsey. Yeah. No, Kelsey just shared it. He said he got Derek's jersey for $1.
Yeah, and I told him that's a bargain. He better hold on to that. If he's an investor, he better hold on to that.
No kidding. Oh shoot. I mean, and that's the kind of interaction that we're talking about, right? Yeah. I mean, it goes both ways. There's so much. Pardon me for hesitating here a minute, Derek. I'm reading something here. I want to see if I want to put it up here. Okay, let me throw this up here for us. Okay, so as the saying goes, he never dump on your own backyard. Wave fans, of course, love their players. There is a big difference between the Huff and Bennett. Now, I don't know who that's from, but I will say that is, I mean, there's an interesting statement. You have a great working relationship, and I'm talking, I don't know, I have nothing to do, I have no clue what your personal relationship with Ian Bennett is, but you guys on the field seem to know exactly where everybody's going to be at the same time. I mean, you guys are in chemistry, you guys know each other on the field.
Yeah, it's just playing with him for a lot of years, playing against him, playing with him. Played against him because when I was on Cedar Rapids, I was playing defense. So I was playing matching up against him a lot. I feel like whenever I played against the Wave when I was on the Rampage, I would always be matching up against either Max Ferdinand or Ian. And it doesn't matter who it is. That's a tough matchup.
All right.
So playing against them, you learn stuff. And he's kind of just the guy.
And it's a small community, isn't it, bro? I mean,
he's that guy where,
I was just going to say. Go ahead.
He's going to – you put the ball in the air and he's going to score. Put him in spots to score. Put him in spots to score. Make it easy.
Right. And it's a small community because, I mean, chemistry can be attributed to, playing against somebody as much as, well, maybe not as much, but along with, playing together on the same team in the same locker room. Once you see these players, once you play against them in one way or the other, I mean, you get that chemistry. And then when you're playing with them as a teammate later, I mean, it all just comes together even that much better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you're you're playing in your divisions, like your division rivalry games. Usually, it used to be you're playing them like 5 or 6 times a season. You know, so you see those guys a lot, especially like the teams that are close together. Like it would be in the Midwest, it'd be like KC, Rampage, Wave,
Right.
Chicago. So you'd be seeing those guys a lot. And plus, in the off season, a lot of the MASL community is small, like you said. So in the summer, everyone's playing in all these tournaments. We all meet up. Everyone's usually you go to a tournament. You can't throw a stick without hitting an MASL player, you know.
No shit. I mean, and it really is cool to watch what's going on with the MASL as far as putting their players around the tournaments around the world. Really, I mean the World Mini Football, the TST, the beach soccer. I mean, there's so much going on that MASL players are making an impact.
Yeah, I think the TST tournament was big for the league, especially the team that won it had majority MSL players on it. You know, I think a lot of people
Absolutely
woke up and was like, "Wow, this league's not a joke. There's some really good players here." Especially the feedback from the tournament. A lot of the outdoor guys were saying, "Hey, these guys are skillful," and I think that
Yeah,
comes.
no kidding. And a lot of those guys were international. Go ahead.
Yeah, like it's small sided, so it's indoors 5v5, where outdoors 11v11. It's much more like one-on-one scenarios, like closer, intimate, like situations where if you're on a 11v11 field, sometimes you can not see the ball for 15 minutes, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
That's right.
You know, the game can get away from you. Whereas indoor, you're right there. Like at one point or another, there's going to be a guy trying to take a shot on you.
Yeah. I mean, and the format that the TST did, you know, with the, you know, every game finishing up on a goal and that kind of thing, that was pretty fun as well. It's going to be fun to see how that morphs into, you know, something that the United States fan might really embrace. We just recently had the World Mini Football World Cup. I think a lot of players from the United States and Mexico perhaps expected a little bit better result, but at the end of the day, the teams that played in the final were teams that both the United States and Mexico played very well during the group and elimination stage. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just think it's a different game, especially with the no walls. It's a completely different setup to what we're used to, especially playing. Like when you're playing and
Right.
there's a wall, I mean, you just move differently. And the games play differently.
Right.
You get scoring opportunities in different spots. It's a little bit of a different game, and I think it's like the foot 7 style that's becoming popular over there. So I think those guys are playing that a lot more, whereas we're playing indoor with walls. It's a little bit different game. So I think when you get down to the playoffs, the hard games, like those guys might have a little advantage.
Yeah, no, I think so. I would agree with you, Derek. I mean, I think that, like, you know, teams like Romania and the Czech Republic and some of these, you know, teams that over the years have been, you know, perennial, you know, powerhouses on the six-a-side outdoor, you know, format. But no, it was a great tournament. I've got a couple of notices here. So again, I don't know who some of these are, but I'll throw this up there. What's your favorite city to go to? You like to go to?
My favorite one is this. I'm sure they're asking about the league. A really underrated, fun trip I went on was the Chihuahua Savage trip.
Okay. Talk a little bit about that. Why? Tell me why.
We just stayed in like a nice little area we were in. It had like restaurants, shops all around it. It was, you know, fairly new. It was just I wasn't expecting that at all. That's why I think it turned out so good, because I wasn't expecting it to be that nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up here, you know, just a couple of miles north of the Mexican border, so I'm familiar with the Mexican culture. And so when I go south of the border, it really doesn't, you know, I know what I'm going into. was going south of the border, the culture of that area. Because I mean, I know the roads are different, the people are a little different. I mean,
That's
the way that
awesome.
everything works.
Well, I
Yeah,
had been to
I mean, it's
Mexico
a different.
before. I played in a few tournaments in Mexico. I played in like amateur tournaments, like 3 or 4 before that. So I had been to Mexico and I had known, that's what I was kind of expecting. Like you say about the roads, it's just not America. It's
Right,
definitely
right,
different. So
right,
that's
right.
what I was expecting the whole time. And when we showed up, it was really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. So I've got another one here. Um, so I'd like to ask what players Derek thinks are underrated and ought to receive more attention.
Ooh. See, that's a hard question because I feel like there's just so many. I feel like there's so many good guys that the fans are not really onto yet. But
Right.
if they saw like the everyday, they would be like, oh yeah, that guy's good. I mean, there's honestly so many. There's too many to name. There's too many to put in one thought. Like,
Well,
okay,
who plays havoc on you, Derek? I mean,
just on the wave. I think our new guys this year, Cesar Correa, very underrated. Alex Sanchez. I mean, I see these guys in training. They work really hard, like really skillful. Like one of them, Alex Sanchez, really skillful dribbler. I think Harrisburg Heat, Alejandro Chavez, really good player.
right. Yep.
Really good
Yep.
player. They used to have
I'm
Harrisburg used to also have another guy. I think he's playing in. I think he's playing for a Mexican team now. Crafty little midfielder. I think he's playing for Monterey. I don't even know his name. Good little player though.
okay. Well, there's that. All right. So this is a little long-winded. So fan of the sport. Let me throw this up there and see what we get. Okay, just a second. So it just
Oh
depends
wait,
on
actually,
what
you know
kind of
what? You
fan
know
you
who's
are.
really good? You know who's really good? I think Ray Lee.
And he's not getting the notification and the notice he deserves.
Yeah, and he plays for the Comets too, and I hate to admit it. Yeah, but I think Ray Lee's a really good underrated player. That's the thing. Then I can go on every team. Then I can go on every team and think of a few guys for sure.
Okay. All right. Here, I got to close this one out here just for a second. We'll get back to that one in a minute. You just opened the door to the Kansas City Comets.
Oh,
so what's your relationship with the Kansas City Comets, brother?
it's not good, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's not good. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even know how I got here. I don't know. It just started going downhill, nosedive.
Was there a particular event? Was there a certain event, a moment, a player interaction? I mean, what actually took place that made this whole thing start happening?
Like I said, I couldn't give you one event. It was just kind of like just kept building and building and building and building and building. Just never got any better.
Oh, shit. It never. It's okay. Oh, that is so classic. That is so classic. I would catch a lot of grief if I didn't ask Derek Huffman about his relationship with the Kansas City Comets.
So I mean, but hold on. But Eric Bergeron and Nick Vastos are awesome. Love what they do. I have good conversations with those guys. I have good conversations with those guys. They've always given me a fair rub every single time. Never, So that I will say that.
Well, I'll even go a step further. I mean, and I, God bless the people around the league that do the job. But I'll even go a step further, and I've said this now for probably this is probably the third year. where I believe that Eric and Nick are the best team in the booth in the league. I mean, I think those guys have the history. They tell the story. They have the backstory. They have the play-by-play. They have two guys in the booth that belong in the booth. Because see, that's what happens. I think, from my personal opinion, what I think happens a lot is you got one guy in the booth that really belongs there and he's really good at what he does, and the other guy is just sort of there just slapping sticks, and it doesn't play right. But I will say that in Kansas City, Eric and Nick really have a good thing going on in the booth. I think they're the best in the booth. That's my personal opinion. But and I know, I mean, that might shock people or piss people off, but that's kind of my take. I'm just going to throw this out there here. I don't know what this is going to say, so I'm reading this cold here, buddy. So it just depends on what kind of fan you are. Are you a fan of the team, fan of the sport, fan of a player? I am personally a fan of hardworking, talented players who have a great attitude before and after the game. I love these guys, all these guys during the game. I only love my players, LOL. And it's really unfortunate because, again, you guys that are watching this on MASL Off the Wall, I don't have you guys identified in this chat. So when you make a chat, you just put your name in the chat itself, or go to Study on Soccer Facebook or studyonsoccer.com to watch the video or the show, because those will identify you directly. But so I don't know who you are until after the show is over. But that's a pretty fun. Oh, okay. So that's Joe. Okay, so that came from Joe. Okay, so I just got this. So that's from Joe Pollard. Okay, so you may not know who Joe Pollard is, Derek. Joe Pollard used to be the owner of the I'm going to say PASL team before the MASL before the MASL started in Tijuana, and so that was his that statement I just read was from him. It depends. Okay, so and Viva Mexico. Kelsey. Okay, so here's a funny one here for you, Derek. This is from Kelsey. This is from your girlfriend, Kelsey. Most important question, Derek. Why is Lucy your favorite fan?
They're my favorite fan. Well, I don't have one favorite fan. They're all my favorites. But I have a very close group of fans. Like, they know who they are, a handful, about 4 or 5 of them that really, like, right when I came here, just immediately welcomed me. Even people I've had back and forth with. Was one of them I had a back and forth with on the internet about. And immediately when I got there, 5 or 6 of them just immediately welcomed me, and it was just awesome. And I've been really close to them ever since. I don't ever plan on not being close to them. I see them in the summer too, even at games. It's great. It's crazy the relationships you build. They just started out as fans going to my game, and now like I text them, I have their numbers. Like, it's awesome.
All right, so I'm kind of compelled to share something today on that statement, because yes, isn't it amazing that we get it is a small community, and within the grouping of whether it's players, media, fans, former players, whatever, the relationships that we get to form become absolutely true and honest friendships. Would you agree?
Definitely. I mean, I think especially when the season's going on and you're seeing them a lot and we're communicating a lot. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's definitely like a fun community to be a part of, for sure. And I know you by the stuff you post, you have lifetime relationships with people that played way back when that you always continue to talk to. And it's just kind of one of those things where you're never really out of touch, because there's always a season or something's coming around, or especially in the summer, just to pop in and say, hey, what's up? Miss you guys. It's nice.
And it's legitimate too. It's not just people giving it lip service. It's legitimate concern and care. Oftentimes you end up sharing privately, on private messaging, what's going on with, mom or dad, or my kid's got a problem or something, and you have actual friendly relationships with these people privately, and it really is, it really is a blessing. And the relationships that we make are in a lot of cases, in some cases lifelong, right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like as long as this goes on, I'll probably have like small talk conversations with a few of these people for a long time, you know?
So what do you think this? Okay, so let's take this back into the confines of the Major Arena Soccer League and this season. So there are some people, not just a few, that are picking the Milwaukee Wave to be the top team in the Eastern Conference this season. How do you think that looks? What do you think about having the Monterey Flash being part of the Eastern Conference this year?
Yeah, adding Monterey to our conference, I think, is just, I don't know. I think it's I don't want to say, I just think it would be better to have the Dallas, either Dallas or Mesquite in our division. I think that just makes more sense.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, I think throwing Monterey in the East is kind of like throwing a monkey wrench in the situation. Like, you know what I mean?
I,
Just
I,
adding a new
I,
team
I
to the division. Usually, you know, like every year you look forward to, all right, we're playing the guys in our division a lot. We're going to be seeing them a lot all year. And we rarely
right.
see the West. And then now there's a team from the West that's in our division, so we're going to see them a bunch of times during the season. I think it just adds a little, but it's good. It's good, you know. I welcome
Well, I
welcome
mean,
you welcome good teams. You don't want to play against bad teams all year and then playoffs come and you're playing against tough teams. So I mean, I think it will be beneficial for the East. I think it
that's
shakes
right.
things up a bit. You know, I think it makes things interesting because they are really good. But I'm confident. I'm confident in the squad. I think if I had to measure it, I would say I think we got 30 to 40% better maybe from last season, and we were in the semifinals last season. So didn't
Good,
start as hot as we wanted to.
good.
You know, every time we play KC in their arena, they play really good there. You know, I got to give it to them. They're a tough team to play in their arena. Kind of smacked us around a bit, but you know, it happens.
Yeah,
It's going to happen. Those kind of games are going to happen this season. It's how you react to them. You know, I think it gave us a little bit of a wake up call. But yeah, you know,
yeah,
Monterey's in town. We're ready for them.
yeah,
It's going to be
yeah. So I mean, it does add a little bit of a different twist to the Eastern Conference, where I'm gonna rewind a little bit. Um, the Monterey Flash, although they're in the Eastern Conference, really don't have an Eastern Conference schedule. A lot of their schedule is still playing Western Conference teams, which is kind of weird as far as the scheduling is concerned. Do you guys, and I mean, sorry for not researching it, but do you guys in Milwaukee have a game down south of the border this season?
Yeah, I think we go there twice, actually.
Okay,
Yeah. And
that's
I mean, the
pretty
Mexico,
tough.
everyone in the
I mean,
league knows
that's
Mexico trips are tough to play. Like, it doesn't matter who you're going to play. Every game's hard. The travel, everything. It's a hard trip. Doesn't matter who you are.
yep, 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 yep.
So especially
Um,
adding that
do
to
you
the
want to talk
East,
a little?
travel.
What is your take on what happened? And you can believe me, man. We're all good with you just saying I don't want to talk about it. But do you have any comment at all about what's going on in Baltimore?
Uh, Not really. I mean, I think they pretty much put all the information out there, you know? I think it's a sad situation either way, because if it's true, it's sad, and if it's not true, it's sad. So
Right.
I don't see this being good for the league, the team, the Baltimore Blast. Whichever way it goes, I just don't think it's a good look for anybody. But I recently, looking into it, I recently found out Ed Hale was in the CIA. That was kind of strange, or worked for the CIA or something.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I heard that. I was like, what? I never knew that.
Okay. I did not know that. This is news to me, man.
It's not, he wrote a book, or when I was researching that, because when I saw the thing, I clicked on a link, and then like the next link was like a book, and it said "A Secret Life with the CIA." It was Ed Hale's book.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So are you looking at it right now?
I haven't gone that deep into the research.
Well, I just kind of stumbled upon it. I wasn't. I just was like looking at the link, reading and then that was the next one I saw. I was like, "What? This is strange."
All right, so I've just got a comment here from somebody. It says the book is called Hailstorm. In reference to what you're talking about, the book is called Hailstorm. Okay, that's interesting.
That's really interesting.
I mean, look.
Not only that, even just that. I mean,
yeah, no kidding. I mean, look. I mean, I'm one of these guys that'll sit back and I'll say, listen. The owners are the reason why there is a league. These are the guys that put their money out there. They pay you guys as players. They pay the rent at the venues. They make this thing happen. The owners are the guys that make this thing happen. And I get it, and I understand that. And I'm really hesitant to start lambasting on ownership, because ownership are the guys that make this thing happen. At the same time, there's the relationship that the ownership has with the players and how those players are treated throughout the process of contracts and relationships and all that kind of thing that you are personally engaged with and understand far better than I do. But it's a disappointing thing to see a general manager being, in the situation that the Baltimore Blast are in with their general manager, and then having this sort of a trail of players that get pulled into the same whirlpool.
Yeah, man, it doesn't look good. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look good. Well, again, this is just based off what they're saying. Like, I don't know for sure about any of this. I'm just reading what basically everyone else is reading, But I would have to say, like, if you look at the history, the Baltimore Best has been a well-run organization for a long time. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of history. They won a lot of championships. That stuff just doesn't happen when, like, it's not run good. You know what I mean? You don't win all those championships with like playing for like ragtag squads. Like, everything's got to be in a line. You know what I mean? It trickles down. When everything's really good and run the right way, it trickles down. Your team starts running the right way. Everything starts running the right way. And I just don't.
Right.
It's hard to come at a guy like Ed Hale and say he doesn't know, he doesn't have all his eggs in a line. It's it's hard for me to say that. I mean, like.
Right.
It's hard for me to look at that.
Kelsey just threw me under the bus here. So Kelsey just threw me under the bus here. She says, I don't think Shelly from the St. Louis Ambush would like how many times you say the owners are the guys. I love Shelly from St. Louis Ambush. I love Shelly from the Ambush. And thank you, Kelsey, for calling me out on that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I've heard really good. So I've heard really good things about
yeah, so it's yeah, me too. So yeah, so the one of the things that we really look at. I mean, I know here in San Diego, and I'm just going to paint a little picture. Here in San Diego, the owner of the San Diego Sockers is building his own stadium. He's going to be opening up that stadium next season. The Sockers are going to be playing at the Front Waves Arena And the team will own the venue, so they're going to have the best dates. They're going to have to be able to have renters coming in, other teams playing other sports and whatever, high school, whatever, concerts, whatever. And it's a really positive thing going forward. But that being said, it's obvious that other owners in other locations around the league either don't have the desire or don't have the capability of doing something that grandiose. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, building your own, opening up your own, piece of land and building a stadium, that's huge. But it is a good thing. And I will say also on behalf of the Kansas City Comets, I mean, shoot, are you kidding me? 6,000 fans in a 6,000 seat venue, opening day to sell out. I mean, it really there are some positive things going forward with the Major Arena Soccer League. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I would definitely say, and I would also agree with you that it's huge them getting their own arena. Are they the only team in the league with their own? Probably, yeah. They would probably be the league that owns their arena, right? I think that's a very good positive step. I mean, it just takes one guy to do that first, and then hopefully everyone else starts doing it. That'd be great.
So now I do understand, I don't know the details behind it, but I have heard people tell me that there is something similar, not with building it, but at least with owning it. There's something going on in Utica with the venue that the UCFC plays in. Something that goes on there. There's some kind of ownership with the team and the venue in that location, I think. And I want to emphasize, I think, because I don't know any details about it. But I know they didn't build the venue, but I think there's some kind of a relationship between the ownership of the team and the ownership of the venue in Utica City as well. And I got to tell you, man, Kansas City and Utica City and Milwaukee too. I mean, we've got a few teams, primarily on the East, that are really throwing out some, the marketing and bringing in good fan base.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference too. You go into a game with a lot of fans, just the energy is completely different. Like you said, when I played in Orlando, we were playing in front of no fans. Games are, you can hear every word being said on the field. Games are completely different. The fans actually, believe it or not, the fans add like adrenaline rushes to us. When we're playing in a bunch of fans, like that energy comes out on us. Like you play differently in different environments. It makes the game better when the fans are like fully engaged. Everyone's, paying attention. Like it's great.
Yeah.
So, it starts with fans. That's why it's so important.
Exactly. I mean, I've been in both kinds of environments, right? I've been in both kinds of environments where you've got a packed arena, just electricity going all over the place, as opposed to, a place where you like what you're saying. You can hear what the guy across the field is saying, and every player can hear what the fans are saying. Every fan can hear what the players are saying. We can hear the coaches, and that's a whole different environment. As far as how it goes, let me ask you something, Derek. Let me ask you, do you have an opinion as a player for the glass up or the glass down on the sideboards?
I would say it's harder I would say it's definitely harder with the glass all the way up because the ball's always in place, so it's hard to get subs.
Gotcha.
When the glass is down, it's ball goes out, you can get a sub, or you can make changes. When that ball's on there banging around and it's constantly in play, it's kind of hard. Especially if you switch sides and you're on the far bench area, it's hard to get subs. Your teams can just pin you in sometimes.
Right. I mean, the game itself, the flow of the game, I'm talking about the clock, goes a lot faster when you have, I mean, it really is noticeable when you've got glass along the sideboards. And of course, the fans that buy those tickets along that wall really don't want the sideboard, the glass there, because they want the interaction with the players.
Yeah, I don't think I would like it as a fan with the glass there for sure. I definitely like uh,
Right.
being that close, being right on top of the action. Great seat. You can see everything. It's amazing. Being at the front rows. Because
Yeah.
when I used to watch, like, if I
Yeah.
was suspended or something or out for a game, you watch it from the front.
So okay, so let's start to close this out. Derek Huffman, you've been an outstanding guest. I appreciate you so much, buddy. But let's start to close this out with a couple of statements here. I want to know who in the East is the Milwaukee Wave looking most to in their quest to take the Eastern Conference Championship.
There's some good teams in the East. Monterey's tough. I think Utica will be tough. They're tough in their building. They're home. KC is obviously going to be tough, but we only played KC once this year, and I want that game back. I want it bad. I want it for all the marbles in the playoffs, semifinal. Let's do KC. If I had to pick, if I had it my way. But I don't want anyone to think I'm overlooking anyone. There's good teams. Monterey's really good. Baltimore, I think Baltimore will find their stride. They're always good. You can never really count them out. They got a lot of drama going on. They lost their first game, but I don't think you can ever count them out. But yeah, I want it for all the marbles versus KC in the semifinal. Bring it on.
Okay. All right. And then after you've beaten KC for the conference championship, who do you think is the team you're going to meet in the West?
I think it's going to be Sockers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, last season they won the Supporters Shield. They had a 22-2 record, but they got bested in the semifinals, and you just never know, man. I mean, it's gonna be a tough call.
Yeah, and playing against them the last couple of years, we don't have a good record with them recently. So looking forward to that too.
All right, buddy. All right. Derek Huffman, I love you so much.
Wait,
I respect you.
before we go, I gotta say one more thing before we go. I just want to bring this to everyone's attention.
Open it up.
I just want to bring this to everyone's attention. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to whatever. But about the KC incident that everyone likes to bring up about the spit, I don't think it hit him. I don't think it hit him. I'll go to my grave. I will go to my grave. I don't think it touched him.
That's classic, dude. That's classic.
I tell everyone the same story too. I don't think it hit him. I think he'd win.
I don't think it hit him. It's not that I didn't do it. It's that I don't think it hit him.
I definitely did it, and I meant to do it too, but I just don't think it hit him. So I just wanted to leave everybody with that. I just wanted to leave everyone with that. Had to get it. It was on my chest. I had to get it off my chest.
Okay.
We should probably clip that too. We should probably clip this and put it on.
Huffman, I appreciate.
We should clip this last part and put it on. This has been a.
I didn't catch that. Say that again.
I think we should clip that last part too and put it on off the wall. See what the fans think.
Oh, right. And just put it right. And just put it separately on off the wall, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll work on that.
All
okay,
right.
that's perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, I appreciate you, Greg.
I've been looking forward to this for over a week and a half. Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. And thank you. Thank you so much. Hold on, wait a minute. You gotta I don't know I don't know who this is. I wish these people would tell me who they are because they're on MASL off the wall and it doesn't ID who they are. but great exportational. No, is that what it says? Great exportation. Oh. Can you read that? What is that? Export.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's basically great spitting.
Oh, well, wasn't that great because it didn't land on him? So
it's basically right. It's not that great because it didn't land on him.
yeah,
I know.
It's a target, and I was
But
on target a lot last series. I was
aim,
scoring a lot of goals, so can't believe I missed that one right in front of me.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot! All right, brother. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you throughout. And I'll look you up when you're in San Diego. Okay, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man. God bless.